Boom.
And we can do this. We can do this thing live.
I'm showing what you're doing, man. These peanut butter pretzels are tough right now.
I was gonna ask. I haven't even seen you. I'm still on a different screen. All right. I think we're official. Let me check.
Boom. There it is.
Let me check. Yeah, there we are. Look at us. Live on the TVs. All right, let me close this door. Oh, I tell you what. It's been a week.
Damn it, Bobby.
It's been a week, man. So you're going peanut butter pretzel coffee.
It's a breakfast champions.
You haven't even eaten yet today?
No, it's been a morning, bro.
Did you hit the gym?
If by gym you mean my apartment, yes.
Did you hit the apartment gym?
Oh yeah. We had some family in town yesterday that wanted to get a decade of drinking done in an afternoon. So I was feeling it a bit this morning.
You had to sweat it out a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
Sweat those toxins right out of my body.
There you go. Back it up with 4. What's your go-to?
Giver River. That's my go-to.
Boy, man, what a week, huh?
Yeah, too bad nothing really happened. I don't know what we're going to talk about today.
I tell you, I was admittedly, and you know it, admittedly off my game last week for a few reasons. It just nothing was meshing last week. It was round peg, square hole all week last week, and it was brutal. And it affected sleep, it affected my mood, it just affected everything. And I know that's one of the it's because we skipped a show 2 Fridays ago, so I'm sure that was the reason. It just put that into the ethos. But this week has been just the opposite. This week has been hitting things head on, cleaning up the to-do list. You kind of have that primary to-do list that you do. And then there's always like that secondary to-do list where it's like, I'll get to it. And I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can change the karma in the room. I actually started with a secondary to-do list first thing Monday morning, like 5:30 Monday morning. And everything just started to click. Like everything else started. And then all of a sudden I got a couple of inbound opportunities, closed a couple of other opportunities that I'd been really excited about. And then just, what I wanted to focus on today, man, was just, I know we talk about it almost every week at this point, is like the 80%, 20%. And do you want to, without exactly telling everybody, because it's not a signed, sealed, and delivered deal yet for one of our co-branded clients. You kind of want to touch on that and why it's been such a fun week?
Yeah, let me just gather myself and not say anything I'm not supposed to say yet. I don't know. We talk so much about doing the background work and the planning and the preparation and all that. And we've been doing that with these guys on every level. Jesus, 7 months.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
And, I guess the best way I can say it without saying it is this week, the conversation shifted to, what are we going to do, to, all right, what are we doing? Like shit's here. And it's just always exciting when that happens. Because it's easy, you and I kind of lend ourselves to being optimistic and looking towards the big picture a lot. So it's easier for us to kind of stay fired up on that. But it's just different when shit gets real, and it's not hypotheticals and it's not options. We could go left or we could go right. But this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to happen. This is when it's going to hit shelves. This is how we're going to get people to buy it. This is how much money is going to come in. it changes the entire conversation and energy and mood of a team.
Mhm.
And when you've done the homework and the preparation and the background stuff to put yourself in a position to be successful there, that's very exciting. And I think, not to humble brag, but I think we've done that. You know, we have a fucking sick brand. We have very good packaging that's hopefully compliant everywhere it needs to be compliant. Um, you know, we have a plan for distribution. We have a plan for everything. Everything has been so well thought out with this, start to finish. Even there's even 2 or 3 things yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday.
When we're on the call, and there's like 2 times when like you almost forget we made a plan for it because it was like 4 or 5 months ago, where I don't want to get, you brought something up. It's like, so the one thing that we'll have to figure out is how to do X. And I'm like, oh no, actually that's all mapped out. We're going to do A, B, and C. And everyone's like, oh yeah, we did that. Like, so I don't know. It's just an incredibly kind of exhilarating, energizing time.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it, and give a little bit more without giving the whole, thing away. Is this is something where Adam and I probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, we were fearful because of things that were outside of our control. We were fearful that this brand potentially could have been dead in the water. Yep. In many ways. Not in perpetuity, but in terms of his and my involvement in the brand, just because we had been stalled by forces outside of our 4 walls, something we just couldn't control, regulatory environment, et cetera. So I really sat down. I was on one of my walks and I was just racking my brain. I'm thinking, how else can we circumvent this? How else can we bring in revenue while we're waiting for regulations to ease up? And that's when I just kind of threw this idea out at these guys. And I spent probably 2 to 3 hours thinking about it. It's like, is this the right opportunity? Is this the right client? Is this the right dude to talk to about potentially bringing this in? And I kept going back to it over and over and over. And resoundingly, the answer was yes. And to me, it was, this is why I kind of titled this, when the 20% becomes the 80%. I think, and I didn't even say this to our client, I think this is going, if we do this well, and I know you and I will, and there's other people involved too, but in terms of what you and I can handle, I think this might become their 80%. And it literally started with one question: Are you cool with just exploring this? Like, not even can you take it and run with it, but will you even explore this? And that was on a time where, the team was pretty down. Our weekly phone calls were like 20 minutes long, just because there just wasn't a lot going on. I ran this by you and you're like, you know what? It's like, what does it hurt to ask? It was basically what you said. It's like, let's see what he says. And we brought it up the next week and he's like, yeah, like if there's really no risk, or I shouldn't say no, if there's little risk, the benefits could hugely outweigh the resources and the time and the money. So what happened yesterday was basically there had been some negotiation back and forth, and yesterday our client gave us the go ahead. He's like, yeah, let's get into earnest discussions with that party. So for me, it was like, I was kind of I was just joking with you on the phone. I'm like, I could hear Adam smiling on the phone when he said that. I was just like, and you and I were texting. It's like, let's freaking go. Like, it is time to go. It's time to book flights. Like, it's time to go check out that area. But I just think that brand's going to crush in that new area. I think just the relationships that have been built and are going to be built are going to be just hugely beneficial to both sides. And I just love thinking outside the box. And you know me, I love to intertwine my clients. It's like, if this guy needs to meet this guy for some reason, like, let's have a conversation. Does it work out all the time? No, it doesn't work out all the time. But at least, I call it the +1 mentality. At least you have somebody else in your Rolodex that you can leverage down the line if you ever need to. So this was just another instance where, I had Peter met Paul, and they were like, yeah, they're a pretty cool dude. Let's go to work. So that's what happened yesterday. And yeah, man, it was kind of the cap of an incredible week, but I think that was probably the highlight for me.
Yeah, and I think it's weird. We've had, I don't know if I just constantly have prevailing themes in my life, or if I just have started thinking that, so I have shit to talk about on the show. But like, we have probably three other. That was funny, wasn't it?
Is that the better looking Sable brother?
Nope, you got the best one right here. Of many people. But no, so like one thing that has come up with probably like 3 or 4 different clients is just how much you can benefit from being flexible with your plan. You know, I forget like where this like the saying comes from. It's like man makes a plan and God laughs, or something like that. Anyway, and that's a great example. You know, the territory that this product is launching in was never a part of any plan until it had to be.
Yep.
You know, and I think you're right. You know, we don't know how things will shake out ultimately, but it's not difficult to see that being the 80 and what we thought was going to be the main focus be the 20. It's not hard to see that at all. Yeah. You know, maybe they can both be 80 and then we'll go from there. But you know, and then we just left a meeting this morning where, you know, we were kind of sitting down with a client, and, you know, they had made a plan on paper where, you know, we were kind of making assumptions and decisions on customers' behalfs before we had any actual clue of what they actually, like what they cared about and what their focus was, let alone what their purchasing behavior was going to be.
Yep.
You know, so we had kind of a, not a come to Jesus moment, but really kind of broke it down where I'm just like, the demographic that we're like talking about targeting like makes a lot of sense, but like, what if that's like one demographic of 8? Like if these people wanted to buy our stuff, would we tell them no? Well, of course not. Well, if these group of people wanted to buy our stuff, like, would we tell them no? Like, well, of course not. I'm like, well, then why are we not planning to just give them the opportunity to say yes to us? You know? And it's just, and when you break it down, and it's so easy sometimes to get caught up in planning and what I want it to be and what I want the voice to be, and, you know, what I want the go-to-market strategy to be. Like, you can want all day, but, you know, if there's one thing that, you know, I mean, we see it every day, obviously, and then just even over the last year and a half, especially, it's just like, great, like you got your plans, but like, fuck your plans, bro. Like, the world doesn't care. You know, it's far more our job to react to the plans the world makes than to try to force the opposite of that. You know, and I think this one, you know, look, nothing's done till it's done, and we have to go execute still. So we'll see. But I mean, when you look at the project in front of us and you look at the tool belt that we've given ourselves, it just feels like if we don't have massive success with this one, then it's on us. And that's a feeling that I love that more than anything.
Yep. That's what we want. That's, as entrepreneurs, that's what you want. And the best quote I ever heard about entrepreneurship is you get to get up and bet on yourself every single day.
Yep.
Every day. You don't need to rely on, you know, Peggy, the HR manager. You don't have to worry about Steve, the douchey VP. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You know, like for me, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I was looking at I was running some numbers through my head, and it's like, oh, you know, it'd be nice if I could do X, you know, for, you know, some sort of project or something around the house or whatever. It doesn't matter. And I said to myself, like, hey, idiot, like, all you need to do is work harder. Like, literally, like that's all you have to do is like send out more prospecting emails if you want more clients in there, or go back to your current clients and be like, hey, can we restructure my contract? Or, you know, whatever it is. That's literally all I have to do. And I think, like you said, over the last 18 months, things have changed drastically. I don't know if that particular client says, I'm going to speculate for a minute, which I don't normally do, I don't know if that same client says yes pre-pandemic to even exploring that option. I'm not sure he does. He might have, but I think because of everything that's happened, it's like, well, why not? Let's go look at, it was almost like that's what his response was. Well, why not? Let's at least explore it. His his ghost partner, I don't know if he would have even agreed to it pre-pandemic. It's like, I met these guys right in the middle of the pandemic, and I'm not sure they would have been that much of a risk taker. And I think, I'll go back and kind of have this internal debate with myself, which is pointless, but I'll tell you about it. Is I wonder if people are going to be willing to take more risks after this, or do you think people are willing to take less risks because everything could get shut down or pandemic? Not that I'm saying there's going to be another pandemic in a year or anything like that. Do you think people are willing to take more risks because of what just happened?
I do. I think it's majorly just kind of a function of, there's usually a pretty direct correlation between your level of risk aversion and your level of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I think what you've seen is over the last 18 months, people were punted out of their comfort zone, whether they like it or not, and I mean, we've talked about it in probably a dozen episodes, but like some people thrived and some people crumbled, and I think what you saw is the people that thrived and realized that like, hey, like life outside my little square, like isn't so bad. And then even beyond that, it's like, well, man, not only is it not bad, but there's a fuckload of opportunities out here. So I think with that and kind of dipping your toes in the deeper end of the water and realizing that it's actually pretty nice, I think people's willingness to take risk, but at the same time, willingness to just look outside of their 3-foot square and realize, wow, there's a lot of stuff out here. I mean, like fucking look at us, man. Like, probably 4 out of our last 6 clients that we've added I've never even been in the state they operate in, let alone the country. I've been in the country before. But I know it's changed my perspective, in my view, where, 24 months ago, Syracuse was an out of market client for me. And that's an hour up 81, never mind, Canada or Chicago or, wherever else. So I think it's opened up people's perspectives and what they would be willing to consider possible.
Oh.
I think you're 100% right. 2 years ago, going from where these guys are at to thinking about where we're looking to launch, it's probably, I'll go one further. Not only do I don't think it's a conversation of would they be willing to take that risk? I don't think that's an idea that even enters a conversation. Why would it?
Right.
Right. But pandemic showed us like, hey, when we're virtual, like 2 blocks away or 2 continents away, this is all the same.
Yep.
So yeah, dude, I think it's opened shit up tremendously.
I agree. And I do think people are going to continue to take more risks. I think CEOs are realizing that the majority of people are grown freaking adults and can work from home and be, and can be productive. A lot of them more productive than they are in the office. It used to be, I saw a tweet yesterday. It was somebody I like to follow, some DTC expert who had a beauty supply company that got acquired by like Maybelline or somebody for 9 figures. So he basically tweets his playbook about how he went DTC from 0 to 9 figures. It's a fascinating to follow. But anyway, he was kind of joking. He's like, remember, this is going to be the last generation. You get to tell your grandkids that open workspaces were meant to create collaboration. Like literally like knocking down the walls of the cubes were meant to be like, well, let's come together for happy hour at 4 o'clock. Let's collaborate, like this kind of thing. Like you get to tell your grandkids you were the last generation of open workspaces. So to me, it's just like, I was reading another article that Syracuse was ranked #1, or Central New York was ranked #1 in terms of the country, in terms of how many jobs can be done from home. It's something like 35% of the jobs can be done at home. And that's like one of the highest, or it is the highest in the country. So for me, I think, and taking risks does not always mean quit your job and go start a business. That's not what I mean. You can be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company that used to move like the Titanic because it takes so long. You got to get board approval, you got to get everybody's approval, to take risks and say, yeah, like, wait a minute, work-life balance or paternal leave, or whatever it is that you deem taking a risk. I think people are going to be, I like that word, being more open to change. Because for me, I've seen friends start not like main businesses, but like side hustles. Just be like, hey, I want to put some extra scratch in my pocket. Like they just want to have that security, so that if something does happen again, or if somebody does get laid off, or if heaven forbid, we do get shut down again for 16 months, that they do have something else to fall back on. So I think you're right. It's been fascinating to watch when everybody did get pushed off a cliff in the middle of March 2020. Number one, how they reacted, how people did thrive, and a lot of people thrived through this entire thing because they figured it out. They're like, all right, these are the cards that I've been dealt. There's nothing I can do to change it. The only thing I can do is change my own behavior. So for me, it's completely changed how I've done business. And people are going back to having their 15-minute coffees at the coffee shop. And guess what? I've declined every single one of those for the last 18 months because it makes me so much more efficient, because that 15-minute coffee inevitably turns into the 45 to 60-minute coffee. And I always find myself looking at my phone anyway, because my cell phone, my texts and my emails are blowing up. So yeah, man, I think it's made us much more open and willing to have those big picture ideas, whether it's entrepreneurship or not. So I love it, man. I like this new world. I really do. And I don't, until something like that changes or forces us to change again. Like, I love how much more efficient I'm working. I love
it. Yeah, I think the coolest part is like, you could go as hybrid in either direction as you want, because like, in Zoom and phone calls is super convenient, right? You can fit so many more meetings in one day that way than the other way. But also, like, from a psychological perspective, so many people have like had an in-person meeting because they can.
Yeah.
Like I had I can say it. I had a meeting with our local Cornell Cooperative Extension. And it was literally could have been a phone call 100%, but I was in the area for another meeting that I had to be in person. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just stop in, and then something we've been talking about a lot internally is, set like firm boundaries on that. Like, hey, I got like a half hour. Like, any meeting that you have to have in person, you can get done in a half an hour, probably quite a bit less than that. So that's number one. But, it was just different being in person. And then what actually happened was, and like a big part of this is just me, we actually stumbled into 2 other potential opportunities for this summer, just because it was random bullshit that came up based on something that happened. Somebody came in, or I forget how we got to the conversation, but we ended up on like, oh, hey, that might be something really good for you guys to help out with. Right. And I think that that's some of the magic that you kind of lose this way. So there's pros and cons to everything. Right. So like, yeah, it's far quicker and it's far more efficient. And people have learned how to connect and continue to build and grow relationships over here. But there's also just certain serendipity of being out in person that is on the other side of that coin. Like, literally happened last night. I was at dinner with my family. Another business owner downtown walks in. So I go up and I say, hey, and he literally goes, oh shit, I've been meaning to text you. One of my partners needs your help. I said, you'd be perfect for it. And I'm like, great. Text. Like, no, I'm going to start a text chain right now. So on the spot, shot an intro text, and then we have a call next week. Perfect. Right. So just like, I miss that because I just love that. But I think the big thing for me is like, it's an and conversation. It's not an or conversation. You know, everybody is like fishing for clicks, writing these articles. The workspace is dead. Everything's digital now. Get used to it. Like, no, asshole, it isn't. Like, it's far more accepted and it's far more, you know, usable and digestible for people than it was 2 years ago. But also, like, you're still going to have your in-person stuff. You know, some people are going to prefer that. Some people are going to prefer this. Some people are going to need this because they're in a different fucking time zone than you are. Great. You know, so that to me is the most exciting thing, is for people with like business ADD like myself to have literally every day be different. I think that's huge. Like when I have days and I have 9 Zoom calls and this is all I do, I go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know? So to me, that's the exciting part, is that like, yeah, dude, we have a new normal now, but it's just a hybrid of, if you choose to live it that way, all of the cool stuff from before and all of the more technological, convenient shit that we got used to over the last 2 years.
Yep. And it's though, that's a great point. To me, yeah, I've gotten rid of the 15-minute coffee, but I actually think that I'm communicating better than I used to. You know, I'm figuring out, you know, it could be something as simple as asking your client, hey, what's your preferred method of communication? Like I have a client in Orlando, I'm working on a nice tea with them. Like I've talked to him, we've been working together 6 months. I've talked to him exactly 3 times on the phone. 3 times. He's like, bro, just please text me. Cause he's running, you know, he's running his brewery. He's got 10 employees. Like he's freaking busy, you know? And for me, it's just like, it was as simple as asking that question. And there are some people that need to have the Zoom, need to sit down. Like to me, I've gotten to the point where I don't even put the camera on Zoom anymore. Because I need to walk around. Like I'm like you, like I have OCD, whether I'm doing laundry or doing something. I just feel as though, that's why I take so many calls on the road walking, because as I move my body, I feel as though I'm just literally better on my feet when I'm walking and thinking about things. That's why I brought that idea. I was walking. I was right over on Ridge Road when I thought about that project, and I thought about what else could we do that was outside the box. So for me, you know, and it's good for my health, and it's, you know, it just, everybody has found a little bit of a different way. And, you know, for me, it's always that what if scenario. It's like, hey, what if I connected those two people? I wonder, you know, personality wise, I wonder if they'd get along, and hey, is there value to be had on both sides of the equation? So I don't know. I you know me better than most people, and I always like playing the what if game. You know, it's a fun game for me, and you know, I do it with my kids too. We're looking for a page for the summer. She's thinking about like film school and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, you know, before you would have had to go to like New York City for 6 weeks, and like, you know, like every Saturday you're in the studio. But no, a couple of film schools down there are like, sure, we're gonna go completely virtual. We're gonna go on demand. So it's like your own learning time. You watch a module. You watch like a 35-minute lecture. Then they give you homework. So you literally have to go take the camera, go down to Cazenovia Lake and shoot a short film. Then you upload it to the professor. Professor gives you feedback via email. Then you watch another, and once he or she grades it, you go to the next module. And I was like, Paige and I were watching the trailer of the class last night. I was like, shoot, I want to freaking get my film certificate from NYU. I'm like, that sounds dope as hell. I'm like, so she and I are going to do that this summer. Like, we're going to sit down and have like one night a week and watch the modules, and then take my camera and go shoot some film somewhere. So I don't know, man. It's just, it's stuff like that never would have existed 24 months ago. Like we would have forced to have go to Midtown Manhattan, rent a hotel, eat out 3 times a week, you know, go pay the money for the film school, do all of that kind of stuff. And that's just not just business wise, but personal wise. Those modules, oh, I gotta grab this. Shoot. Oh, hang on 1 second. I'll be back.
This is Ben just being Hollywood. $1 million clients on the line. Gotta love it. I'm not editing this part out either.
All right, I have 14 tankers of sugar brew going to the wrong state.
I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds bad.
Yeah, it's going to be okay, but I do need to go.
It sounds like you might.
Yeah, it's only about $1 million worth of product, so I need to reroute something right now.
Nothing, dude.
All right, sorry about that. I don't even know what episode it is, but I gotta go. 50 episode 5, season 2, episode 5.
S2E5
comes to a screeching halt. Okay, bye.
I love it. See you.
All right,